Nice. And we are live with my two viewers. We have Zhu from South Korea, who's using my channel with a mere 39 subscribers to try and pump his bags, to try and shill his Ethereum. You altcoin guys are incorrigible. But anyway, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Last week, no show. Not really my fault. There was a problem with Google. I couldn't get into my email and a bunch of other stuff. And then I found an update Monday, Monday after, late Monday or something like that, like the middle of the night Monday. And then I could get my emails and stuff, which I need my email because every couple of weeks my job sends us threatening emails because somebody I don't even know fucked up somehow. And it's a big problem, and the clients are pissed off, and they're going to fire us because of, or not. You put us on the do not use list because of some shit that we have no control over. You know what I mean? Probably like half the people in the Suez Canal right now, but who are all of whom are being berated for things that are outside their control. Although my understanding is that the boat is free. Free Willy, the Evergreen super ship is once again underway, and you will get all the cheap goods you could possibly. I don't know what the European version of Walmart is, but I guess all the Walmart stuff, the Tesco. I don't know what do they have. That's Europe wide, probably nothing. But anyway, that's on its way, and it's watching this, and then I just saw a headline. Earlier today, that the Biden administration was watching the fall in the stock market today, even though the S&P managed to eke out a slight gain for a new all-time high. A number of big stocks like Viacom and a few other ones tanked dramatically, and like 6%, 11%, and it's spooked and rattled the markets. And the cause is supposedly, I think it's either a South Korean or a Chinese billionaire who had this very complex, there's a complex financial instrument that's not legal in America, but is legal in Europe. It's kind of a two-way options contract that I don't really understand, that I just skimmed the article real quick, but it was like $30 billion worth of some sort of options contract. And it didn't go a certain way, or I don't know, something went wrong, and it rattled the entire stock market where everybody started selling off. And the Biden administration was immediately on top of it. And I'm thinking to myself, it's not because the Biden administration is really on top of anything. We all know that he stands there. Like everybody saw the picture of him with the White House press briefing where they had all the reporters' pictures and the numbers and what questions he should ask, like in what order he should ask them. So we know they're not on top of anything. But the fact that the White House jumped in this right away makes me think of the early days of the Obama administration. People forget there was an offshore oil rig that I can't remember which company it was that blew up. It blew up and went on fire and killed like 12 people. And the oil was pouring out of the ocean. And remember they were showing it on CNN. It was just that thick, column of oil just spewing out. All over the bottom of the ocean, and they couldn't figure out how to get it plugged, and it became like the dominant story of the early days of Obama. And oil prices were still very, very high from the way they cranked them up during the Bush administration. And it's people were looking at the White House like, well, you've got to fix this because we're paying $4 for gasoline, and all this oil is going to waste. And forget about the 12 guys who died, like who blew up an oil rig. Those people just completely forgotten. But it became a priority for the White House to get that done, and they finally did. They got some. They did something with it. They poured cement in there or something. They eventually got it stopped, but it was like uncounted millions of gallons of oil that are now sitting at the bottom of the ocean, unused. And this stock market thing with Joe Biden today reminds me of that. The ship getting stuck. The economic impact of that, Wall Street getting shaky over like $130 billion trade in Europe, that doesn't make sense. Like the U.S. stock market is like $13 trillion. You know what I mean? How could 30 billion affect 13 trillion? There's this. We're living in an age, like I was saying on Paul's show the other day, where one small thing in this really complex system could really blow stuff up. And I think some people obviously behind the scenes in the administration sense that, and they're terrified and they want to appear to be on the job, but they're on the job in the same way that the National Guard is keeping the citizens of Washington, D.C. safe, right? You know, those two 14-year-old black girls that robbed the Uber driver and took off with his car, and he hung on to the outside of the car, and they went down the street at high speed, and they flipped and rolled over the car and killed the guy. And then they like literally, it was like a movie. They climbed out of the passenger seat as the car was on its side, and National Guardsmen, amazingly as black as the girls who were robbing the Uber driver, helped them get away. And the girl says, "I need my phone. I need my phone." And people are saying she's trying to, like, she didn't want evidence of her being there. That she didn't care about that. She needs her phone. She wants to tell her friends and laugh about it. You know what I mean? It's her phone. You don't go to here without your phone. So, and that's with 5,000 National Guard troops locking down Washington, D.C. You know, the fact that what people are being told is the most superficial of shows, the weakest of shows. That this tiger is really a paper tiger. I think is really going to be shown, and I suspect this administration is going to react like the Obama administration did, which, as I remember, like right after the oil spigot coming out of the ocean thing, they immediately started attacking like Rush Limbaugh, and they're perceived like Rush Limbaugh is the head of the Republican Party, and like Rush Limbaugh in 2008 was like the least relevant person you could possibly be. Like Rush Limbaugh's heyday was like in the 80s, you know what I mean? And the 80s were long gone. You know, Rush Limbaugh would be saying like how great the stock market was, how great stonks were, you know. Meanwhile, he's ignoring the fact that all the jobs, you know, in America got shipped over to China, which is why the stock market was going through the roof, because you used to pay an American worker $15 an hour to make X, Y, and Z. And now you're paying a Chinese worker $1.50 an hour to make X, Y, and Z. So, and Rush Limbaugh was all about that, you know, and, oh, look, I got a private jet and I'm flying around, and isn't it great to be me? And, you know, you have to access opportunity in life. Well, it's pretty tough when Wall Street literally moved the entire economy of your county over to Shenzhen, China. You know what I mean? Literally all the opportunities are gone. So, but Obama wanted to make him the bad guy because they perceived like, we're going to go on the attack. We need a punching bag, and they thought that Rush Limbaugh was a good punching bag. But it was they were so tone deaf culturally. Like Rush Limbaugh has not been a cultural figure since like 1988. You know what I mean? So, and I think Biden's going to do a similar thing. I mean, they've got their boogeyman, their great white terrorist boogeyman that they keep chasing. You know what I mean? Like what's his name? Like the Moby Dick. You know what I mean? Like what's his name with Moby Dick? You know, the fish story where, you know, the captain he's got a boat, he's got some guys, they're gonna go catch a fish, and the fish is named Moby Dick, and they go after the fish, except the fish kills them and the fish lives, which is like the opposite of reality, right? When a bunch of guys get in a fishing boat and they go fishing, the human beings live and the fish die. But Herman Melville turned the story upside down and it became some fantastic story that's deeply meaningful. And the primary meaning is it's nonsense because the fish always dies and the people always live. You know what I mean? But Melville wanted to do something clever, and people, instead of going, you know, whenever the fishing boats go out in my town or in my seacoast, they come back full of dead fish. The fish never comes back alive and all the dudes are dead. It's the fish are dead and all the dudes are alive. But so this fish story that people think is the greatest story ever, because it's not really a fish story. It's apocryphal. Because I'm a midweight and I don't understand that the fish really represents an obsession, an idealized obsession that drives people, that drives, you know, everything to destruction. Yeah, dude, I really get that. You know what I mean? I get your obsession with shit that doesn't fucking matter while everything else falls apart and you fuck everyone over. Yeah, I kind of get that. You know what I mean? I don't need you to wrap it up in literally in fish wrap. But you know, if you want to, you know, if that's what you think is the greatest fucking the whatever fable you ever heard, all right, you know, good for you. But it's a fish story where the fish lives and all the humans die, and that's ridiculous on the face of it, right? But it's all in how you look at it. Tonight's title is 2, 2, and 2. 3 different words, but they sound exactly the same, right? There were 2 protagonists in the Cold War. You know, the United States and the USSR. You know, you can write a letter to Santa, dear Santa, give me an ethno state. You know what I mean? Or you could say that I want you're going down to the store. Well, I want to go too. You know, so it's all the same word, but it has different meanings in different contexts, and different people are gonna hear different things. So that's and that kaleidoscope of confusion is only going to get worse because everybody's high on drugs. There are magic mushrooms in Washington D.C. Everybody's high on legal weed. Everyone's completely disconnected from reality. And I was saying this over on Poll's show. You watch this stuff where where these kids flip over a car and kill somebody and then run away, and nothing's going to fucking happen to them. And people think, oh my God, that's so shocking. It's not shocking to anybody who drove taxis anywhere in a big city. It just isn't. You know what I mean? Shit like that, it happens all the time, especially in warm weather. There was a story I posted on Normie Book. There's some Dindu has 5 outstanding gun cases in the New York City courts, and the judge let him go again. So as soon as he gets out of jail, what's he going to do? What do you think he's going to do? He's going to go get another gun. You know what I mean? And I said, if I spit on the sidewalk, I'll be fucking locked away for 25 years. And that's the world we live in. I don't mean me specifically, but anyone like me. You know what I mean? You have to understand that this is so insanely against you that you need to keep your head down and focus on what you're going to do to get away from this. And it's not clear who's going to win yet. Okay. They're talking about this vaccine certification. I know they've been pushing that in Europe. Now they want to push that here. And I tweeted out earlier today that, this is going to be the dystopia. It's a private company. Remember, it's a private company. They can do whatever they want, right? So we're not going to say you're not free to leave your house, but if you go to the supermarket and you don't have the vaccine certification on your phone, well, then you're not allowed in the supermarket. So you can't buy food. You know what I mean? And you can't go to the bank. You can't go here. You can't go there. You know what I mean? In your phone, if you have this certification on your phone, will broadcast via the COVID-19 upgrade. You know what I mean? That they put. Remember how they pushed out in a couple of years ago when everybody had the phone outage? You know what I mean? It's like an 8-hour outage because of some tiny piece of spyware that they wanted to install on your phone. It was just retarded. It shows the level of shitty programmers that Google has. But that's what will happen. Your phone will rat you out, and the police car will drive right up to you. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Could you come over here, please? You know what I mean? You're going to go, what? Or can you get out of the car? Could you shut the car off, please? Driver's license, registration, vaccine certification. And you start going, why do I have to show you that? I'm a sovereign citizen, whatever. And then they write you up and they say, listen, you got 24 hours to get the vax, but we will have to tell your employer and your bank if you don't in 24 hours. And you know what? You'll go get the vax. Of course you will. You got a wife, you got kids, you got this, you got that, you got people that depend on you. It's cold where you live. You don't want to sleep in the park overnight. That's what they plan on doing. So they're going to have you in a situation where you're terrified to leave your house unless you're in 100% compliance with what they tell you. And the things they're going to ask you to comply with are going to be more and more and more insane. That's their vision. Surprisingly to me, I just saw this like right before showtime. Ron DeSantis, our Republican savior, is against vaccine certifications. You know what I mean? He's against that. And I'm like, wow, somebody's giving this guy really good advice, because he's like so nailing the messaging. He's like right at the right spot, when at the right time, and the right issue, and he's just pulling ahead towards that race for the White House in 2024, and making Greg Abbott in Texas look like the cripple that he is. But and I thought about this, and I was thinking about Trump and how Trump's all fucked up, and he's going to launch his own social network and whatever. That's going to be a disaster. They're just going to soak Jared Kushner and his crew are just going to rip off as many MAGA people for as much money as they can before it all goes down the tubes. But when I'm thinking about Trump's messaging, like he was so spot on, and now he's so tone deaf. And I'm like, well, it's got to be smarter people behind him, right? These guys are never who they appear to be. Trump may have had an actor's ability to deliver a line, a sense of timing and like that, but he doesn't write the lines. You know what I mean? The great actors don't write the lines; they just say the lines. And I'm starting to think that's really what Trump was, that he was nowhere near that sharp. You think of his debate performances, and his ability to think on his feet was terrible. Like the zingers must have been pre-planned, and he just had a sense of when he could do them. It's not like they popped up in his head and he said them. And it seems to me like Ron DeSantis, who's, I'm against vaccine certification. Of course, that makes him a hero to everyone who doesn't want to get involuntary vaccination. Whoever's guiding him to say this will get him into the White House. And if he doesn't do what Tel Aviv wants, well, then you know what? His ability to magically have his thumb on the pulse, or his finger on the pulse of America, will go up in smoke. That's my guess. And it's not a terrible guess. I don't really know how things work at that level. But that seems not completely illogical. But, politics around the world, I was going to talk about this last week. Another thing of Biden, all of a sudden the Biden administration is going to recognize the Armenian genocide. That came out of nowhere. Like the first administration to recognize the Armenian genocide. And you're like, really? All of a sudden we're going against the Turks? Since when? You know what I mean? And since when? Since they discovered natural gas between Cyprus and Israel, and that that Greece is going to be a natural gas hub for the pipeline that goes into Europe, so that Israel can make tons of money off of European winters and the fact that Europeans like to cook their own food. So, that's what drove the Biden administration to all of a sudden come up again in the first 3 months, Armenian genocide. Nobody knows about this, but it's a way to swat back at Turkey, right? To squash Turkey, to shift the focus away from Ankara and over to Athens, because that's where the money is. You know what I mean? It's not the money for America; it's the money for Israel. So that's what's driving this. Is this a good thing? Well, it's. There's worse outcomes. You know what I mean? It's not a good thing by any measure, but the alternatives are worse. And this is the real world that a lot of people can't comprehend and don't understand. You know what I mean? What's driving this is the natural gas deal, which the pipeline is going to run through Greece into Europe, makes Greece important. And the people threatening Greece right now is Turkey. So they have to push the Turks back. So one, of course, they're selling Greece every fucking war toy in the DOD war chest, but also they're putting the weight of the U.S. and Israel behind Athens, and that's going to push the Turks to the problems that they already have. They got tons of problems. The people are buying gold like crazy. The Turkish lira is collapsing. Everything over there's a big problem. Of course, economic problems cause people to do different things. The Turks are going old school. They're going gold. But I'm not a precious metals guy. Everybody knows I'm a Bitcoin guy. And good news, my stimmy check. Where's my stimmy check? See, I got my stimmy check the other day. And where did it go? You know where it went. You know 100%. You know where that went. That 100% went to Bitcoin, man. That's absolutely. Where is it? Yeah. Can you see it? Your buy order is complete. You bought $1,400 worth of Bitcoin last night when you came back from Boston. So Saturday I didn't do much work, and then Sunday I got to run up to Boston, but I had to pick up the piece at JFK, so it was kind of a longer day than it needed to be. But was kind of waiting for the price to dip a little bit on Sunday night with Bitcoin, but it really didn't dip that much. And then when I got back into Jersey, I looked at it, I said, you know what? I was going to do the buy online. Like I was going to do like a live stream of me spending my stimmy check and buying Bitcoin, but whatever. It wasn't. I have a lot of bad ideas or ideas that are unworkable. They're not necessarily bad ideas. They're just kind of unworkable at this time and place. Oh yeah! By the way, smash up the like button. Give me some feedback. Other than just bad Greek disco and bad literary takes. There's much more. There are hidden depths here that, of course, most people don't seem to comprehend. And this is my. Let's see what I can do here. With and people think that let's do a screen share. Let's do a screen share. People think that I'm the only one who thinks like this, and it is most definitely not true. The things I say, which come off as perhaps a little bit too extreme, a lot of people share my worldview. Right, and this is going to come up any minute. I'm going to be slick about it this time. This is going to show my entire super boomer tech, my ability to overcome waiting for cash. That's not CASH, it's CACHE. Wow, this cache, this whole Microsoft memory cache is just terrible. This is very, 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 very slow. What if Tom Anderson, what if I open the file first and then hit screen share, right? So, and that doesn't seem to be working as well as I'd like. What if we try again? If at first you don't succeed, try again. There we go. Yeah, I think this is the way it's going to be. I think I'm doing it in the wrong order. That's my problem, right? If you put the cart before the horse, guess what? You ain't going to get that far. You're not going to get that far. So let's put the horse first and the cart second. Right? Oh, yeah, there we go. So let's put this up there. All right? Here's a meme, that people think that I'm being an extremist and like I'm the only one talking about ending the Fed. I'm not the only one. This meme floats around Twitter all the time. And the only reason to be on Twitter these days is for crypto Twitter because there's literally everything else is just such a wasteland. But this memes like this go on and on and on, and when I tell people, or when I've said before, that there are people who want to destroy elite power, those ruthless cosmopolitan elites. They don't know who the ruthless cosmopolitan elites are, but they spend just as much time or more time and real efforts in how to dethrone these people than all these hand waving retards who are like, hey, why don't you just blow up the boat in the middle of the Suez Canal? Well, the whole idea of why don't you just blow up the boat is the water in the Suez Canal is not deep enough to sink the boat. If it was, the boat never would have gotten stuck in the first place. But, people who solve no problems at all, they never have to solve a problem because there are no problems in their life. Everything in their life is set up for them by their parents or whatever. They're 13-year-old Adolf Hitler worshipers or whatever kind of retard they are. I don't know what the fuck they are really. And now, they might not really be 13. They could be 45 years old. They could be 28 years old, but mentally they're still 13. They never have to solve any problems. So they can say, oh, just bomb the boat. You know what I mean? Really? You going to pay for all that cargo? Who's going to pay for all that cargo? Right? They have an inability to even think about what the actual problem is, and much less how to solve it. So why should you listen to them? You should not listen to them. Children should be seen and not heard. Yes, Tom Anderson, my understanding is the boat is free. Free Willy. So yeah, so this is going to be the way we got to do it. First, I open, here's what I did. This is me being clever. First, I open the meme, and then I hit share screen. I'm doing it in the wrong order, what it is. All of life is about timing. Timing is everything. All right, so let's see what else we got here. We got a bunch of stuff. Let's go with this. This is probably a good one. This will be this will get people's attention. This should be you. This has to be your attitude in life. And some people, Christians, will have to leave the room. Anyone who's Christian will have to leave the room. You're going to have to leave the room because this is not a very Christian meme. But it is quite a good one. It will be appreciated by some, okay? So these young ladies, as you can see, are in severe need of some sort of patriarchal discipline. But the meme, girl in the center at the top, she's Bitcoin. You know, she's pouring some tasty drink along the posterior of the girl called the dip. And then that should be you at the bottom. Every time Bitcoin goes down, you should be buying like crazy because nothing has changed in the macro picture, right? The Biden administration right now is talking about another stimulus. The stimmy check that I just got is going to be followed by another stimulus. So how many more trillions will they add? Now they're saying this Biden, pure Biden stimulus, because technically this, whatever, $1,400 is a hangover from the Trump administration. But the next stimulus, which is going to be focused on childcare, Kamala Harris is already out there talking about it, focused on childcare and family. I don't know what that means. I guess they'll give extra money to single mothers. You know, like I was talking about, again, on Poll Stream, if you're going to equalize the income between married, heterosexual Caucasians and unmarried persons of color, blacks and Latinos and whatever, who have multiple children and no father figure in the house. Well, how are you going to do that? You're going to have to pay them more for each kid, right? So that may be the secret to focused on child care and child rearing. That's, remember, the government's always with the code speak and the hidden meanings and the subtle implications. But my guess is that single mothers or single, they wouldn't say single mothers. They'll say single parent households, will receive extra stimulus because they're hardest hit. You know what I mean? Basically, hey, Whitey, we're going to tax you to give more free money to black people. Yeah, but these three girls, probably none of whom is going to, well, who knows what their lives are going to be like, but they're certainly having probably more fun than is legal in many, many, many places. All right, so this is me understanding now that the keys to all of this screen share thing is to open the file I want opened, wait for it to open, and then share it. All right, that's the key. Oh, it's so simple. If only I could have figured this out like 8 streams ago. Then I would appear like a genius. I would appear like some sort of live streaming adept. So I got 3 people in the chat and 0 people on the stream. This is a chart showing, what's it showing? It's showing performance to date of different assets, right? One of which is the top one. So far this year, Bitcoin up 100%. Crude oil up 25%. The S&P 500 up 6%. The US dollar index up 3%. The NASDAQ is up 2%. The US 10-year Treasury bond is down 6%. And womp womp to Peter Schiff and all the boomers out there, probably Bob Paxson, when he hears this, he'll end up crying. Gold is down 9%. So that's year-to-date performance. And we are only in March. Well, wait. Oh, this is the one I really want to get in there. Now I got to send an email while we're doing this because I am such that I can do all manner of things in the middle of a live stream that normal men cannot. They want Tom Anderson in the chat. They want us to give UBI to joggers, but there's still too many white people around to make that explicitly viable. Possibly. Well, they want UBI, I think, for everyone. You know what I mean? I don't think it's specific. It's for one more than the other. But right now, Caucasians have the most wealth in the United States, and they're the ones you're going to take from or tax, in order to transfer the wealth. And when that's gone, it's gone. And then what? Then what do you do? What do they do after that? We all know that they don't think further than the next poll or the next whatever. Just to the end of this crisis until they can get their poll numbers up, so they can push whatever crappy agenda they have. And then inside the White House, surely you have a number of different factions all fighting for dominance as to who's going to get who's going to get the president's ear next. Okay, so let's get this one. But this shows the power of incentive that even again this is the power that Bitcoin has that nothing else has. So we're going to share. We're going to share this side by side series of news articles. Right. I'm going to come up, put up any second now. I don't think I can make it any bigger than that. But on the left-hand side here at the top, it says, Bitcoin's real value could be zero, Morgan Stanley analyst says. And then over here, next to it, it says, Morgan Stanley becomes the first big U.S. bank to offer its wealthy clients access to Bitcoin funds. Below that, Bitcoin is a fraud that will blow up, says JP Morgan boss. And then next to it, a year later, JP Morgan says investors could make Bitcoin 1% of their portfolio. Below that, on the left, Goldman Sachs lists 5 reasons why Bitcoin is not an asset class nor a suitable investment. 1 year later, on the right, exclusive, Goldman Sachs restarts cryptocurrency desk amid Bitcoin boom. Below that, on the left, Bitcoin is useless as a payment mechanism and ridiculous as a store of value. The ex-PayPal CEO. 1 year later, PayPal's entry into crypto followed long buildup in expertise. Below that, on the left, Visa CEO. We won't process transactions in Bitcoin because it's not a payment system. 1 year later, Visa is working on enabling Bitcoin purchases. That directly from their CEO. Below that, on the left, Deutsche Bank says Bitcoin is too volatile to be a reliable store of value. 1 year later, Bitcoin is now too important to ignore, says Deutsche Bank. At the very bottom, ING, why Bitcoin is destined to become a niche asset, a cryptocurrency reality check. And then across from that, exclusive, ING working on digital assets Custody technology. Every knee will fucking bend. We are going to destroy Wall Street. We're going to destroy finance as you understand it. We're going to destroy the Rothschilds. You don't believe it yet, but those articles are 1 year apart from all these top companies. And they fucking shit all over Bitcoin as hard as they fucking could. And what did they do? They all had to fucking bend the knee. And it's just the very beginning. It's just the beginning. It hasn't even started yet. It hasn't even started yet. This is going to be fun for us. For people who have Bitcoin, this is going to be a lot of fun for us. Watching these people, fail is going to be delicious. Absolutely delicious. So we'll come up with the next meme. We'll put up the next meme. And I don't make any of these memes, but again, this is what Bitcoin people, and believe me, you're going to look at this meme and go, how do they not know? Trust me, they don't know. They don't know, right? They do not know, right? That's the famous quote from Baron D. Rothschilds: "Give me control of a nation's money, and I care not who makes its laws." But what are they showing? Semiconductors, an ace, whatever, some cables, Bitcoin. That's a Bitcoin meme now. No political movement ever dared to steal the Rothschilds quote and use it against them. But Bitcoin is dead. You know what I mean? And again, these are kids. They don't know about the Khazars. They don't know about the chosen people. They don't know that everybody 85% of these people have small hats. They don't know that, but they know this quote is from the bankers, and that the bankers are bad people, okay, who hold the world back and do unfair things, and they want to change that, and they're doing that. Okay, Bitcoin went from $0 in value to $1 trillion in value in 12 years. Apple computers became worth $1 trillion in 42 years. Google took 22 years. Microsoft took 26 years. And Bitcoin did it faster than all of them with no government help and literally no one's help. It went from 0 to $1 trillion all on its own. Faster than any other entity, financial entity on the planet Earth. And you think you can stop this? You think you can outthink this? You think that you have some clever argument against human incentive? Well, we'll fucking see. Okay? You have hitched your ideological fucking wagon to a falling star, I assure you. And the longer you focus on the past, on the 1930s, on something that is, literally looking backwards, you're going to get your clocks cleaned as bad or worse than the people who actually deserve it. Tom Anderson: "Taking my BTC and moving to Vietnam. I'm going to live on the beach." Yeah, you live like, hey, dude, you could go to Colombia. In Colombia, you'd be a billionaire. With one Bitcoin, you'd be a billionaire in Colombia. You know what I mean? And Colombia has some real cute girls too. So this meme, again, this is the stuff that floats around crypto Twitter, and the people who created this and share this, they don't know who the Rothschilds are, but they're out to destroy them, and they have a technology to do that. They have the ability to do that no political viewpoint does. Okay, no one can get to the bankers because you have to do it within the system set up by the bankers. Okay, if you're outside the system set up by the bankers, well, then there's a whole new level of threat that they've never seen before. And they have no way to attack because it is decentralized. There is no central, there is no central, the bank to attack, no individual to smear, no group to to kill or subvert or get them to sell out. These memes are all over the place. And they pop up again and again. I like this one too. You know what I mean? This one's a little bit older, but it's the classic Trojan horse, right? There's the wooden horse. What does the meme say? Bitcoin will coexist with the dollar. And again, these are people who, these are like American memes. This is not coming from Al Qaeda. This is not coming from the Osama bin Laden cave in Pakistan. You know what I mean? This is probably some kid in Cleveland made this, And then, inside the horse is, of course, and the Fed and a bunch of Bitcoin Spartans or Bitcoin hoplites. And, the wheels that bring it in is MicroStrategy. That was the Michael Saylor company, which was the first company to buy $425 million worth of Bitcoin when it was 11,000. By the way, links in the show notes. If you look down below, I got a link to a couple of different things. But one is a Michael Saylor video where he talks about specifically about the financial elite today don't understand what's coming. Michael Saylor, he's sort of our guy. He's not really our guy. Michael Saylor's company sells software to people who make real things. But he's a tech guy who understands Wall Street, and he has for years. So he understands tech and Wall Street. And that's where he's made most of his money. But he sells to people on Main Street. So he does see both sides of this. And in this, it's a good interview where he talks about a number of different things, but not the least of which is, what do you do during hyperinflation? And he's talking as a rich guy. He was a rich guy, is a rich guy, he was worth hundreds of millions. Last year, he's probably worth $1 billion now or more. He's talking as a rich guy from a businessman's point of view. What do you do in the case of hyperinflation? What do you do? Like, what strategy do you use to preserve your wealth? And he runs through a bunch of different things. And it's a worthwhile interview. Again, it's in the show notes below. If you type in Michael Saylor, Saylor, on YouTube, you're going to get tons of stuff. But and everybody's there's everybody's putting all kind of advertisements on him because he's such an excellent speaker, and of course people will listen to a rich guy much more intently and seriously than they listen to someone like me. But so they'll listen to a rich guy who is a CEO of his own publicly traded company, and they'll the same exact things that people like myself and other Bitcoin plebs have been talking about that you will ignore will sound like received wisdom. Down on the tablets that Moses brings to you. So, wait a minute. Oh, I have to click stop. See how good I am getting at this share screen thing? Now that I understand. First, you open the file, then you click the share screen. Because if I click share screen first and then try and open the file, it sucks up too many resources and jams me up. So, what else do we got? I don't know. Oh yeah, a couple of things. This was good. I like this a lot. Do you remember I said like last month I went to pay my gas bill and the FBI counterterrorism task force was outside my door? That kind of spooked me. That was a little bit spooky. That was like, hey, what's going on here? But they weren't here for me. They were here for my neighbors across the way. But then I got this again when I was going out to I don't know if it was with my gas bill, but this is going to be funny. Hopefully the audio comes through good. I pay my gas bill and walk into the mailbox to put the envelope in the mailbox. And notice on my phone I got a voicemail, and I'm going to play you the voicemail, and you tell me what you think it is, because it's. You have one saved message. Saved message. Did you guys hear that? It sounded like somebody sent me a voicemail of 2 gunshots. Does that not sound like someone? If you need me to play it again, I'll play it again. But that is the most bizarre thing. I'm walking to the mailbox, and it sounds like I'm like, what? I don't know anyone who would do that. I don't know anyone who would do that. It seems like someone's outside somewhere, and they fire 2 rounds into the air or something like that, and they want. There was nothing after that message. There's nothing before. I didn't see what. I don't know what the number it came from, but I'm thinking to myself, wow. Does Mossad have my phone number? What is this? Is it like I don't know what this is. You know what I mean? Am I getting voicemails from the IDF, or I don't know, who the fuck knows? But I thought that was funny as hell. I have no idea what that is. No, Tom answered, no one has left dead fish on my car yet. Although my car's not really, it doesn't stay still long enough to leave a dead fish on it. But I thought that was pretty funny. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like every month it's a new thing. Although the FBI thing was, of course, a completely like random thing. But that was just, if you're doing streams like I do and say the kind of shit that I say, and you walk outside your door and you see like actual FBI dorks. I mean, they're all dorks. They were like, there's a bald-headed guy and there was females and stuff, and they were, again, they don't look like the FBI in the movies or TV, but yeah, it's it was something. Tom Anderson, where's everyone? I don't know. Listen, Paxton the Boomer shot his load last night on the poll stream. I read the chat. You know, I didn't listen to the stream. I shut the sound off, and I was just like reading the chat. From Polstream, and fucking Paxton was roasting me, man. He was so on his game. He was like funny as fuck, and he was having like a real good time. He stayed up past his bedtime, so that's probably he's probably curled up in a ball after having his homemade bread and organic Guatemalan fair trade coffee or whatever the fuck it wouldn't be coffee that would keep him awake. But whatever, some boomer drink that he has before. What do boomers drink before they go to sleep? I don't know. But hey, I don't know where everybody is. You know what I mean? That's sometimes they show up, sometimes they don't show up. But people will catch this. They'll catch the rerun. Yeah, but that's all those screen shares I showed you, all those things. What's coming, the negative part is inevitable. And it's inevitable, but there's going to be something beyond that. It will be something beyond that. And you could be part of it or you could not be part of it. And I don't care either way. And I'm not going to waste my time trying to convince people. Some people, well, you know what? I got some audio from Saylor. Where's this Saylor audio? It's 30 seconds. 30 seconds. I got, where are we at? Here we go. Surely you can hear this. Let's see.
Each citizen now has a choice. You can stay on the fiat standard in which some people get to produce unlimited new units of money for free, just not you. Or opt into the Bitcoin standard in which no one gets to do that, including you.
So there you go. How stark of a choice is that? How non-political of a statement is that? Which world do you want to live in? You do have a choice, right? You have that choice. So which world do you want to live in? And hey, HIV positive. Thank God you showed up. Tom Anderson's getting lonely. Yes, Uzo tonight is Uzo night. But it's no more complicated than that. Do you want to play in a rigged game where your role is to be a loser and your children's role is to be a loser and your grandchildren's role is to be a loser forever? or do you want to do something else? You know, do you want to decide, I don't want to play this? You know what I mean? I'm going home. I'm not doing this. So that's your choice. You can and view this as a religious thing. You could view this as a political thing. I don't care. Like I said, I'm no longer ideological, and I don't give a crap for your fucking dime store ideology, which, you know, you're so in love with because you think whatever you think it gives your life meaning, like it defines your character or some shit like that. There are real human incentives, which you are subject to whether you like it or not, and the current system has a really misaligned human incentive for the behaviors that we know are best historically, and that's got to change. And the only way that's going to change is if you use a different method of value, because money talks and bullshit walks. You know what I mean? And if you have fuck you money, whatever fuck you money is, and that's going to be different things to different people, you get to live your life free from their edicts and their restrictions. And, you know, will you make your tread, you know, whatever, the white girls in a wheat field, you know, virgin until she's 26 and married, world away? Like, you know, you think you will, you know, you'll be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised, but you'll be surprised at how your priorities change all of a sudden when you don't have to listen to other people. You know what I mean? When you could say whatever you want to say and do whatever you want to do and no one can hurt you, all of a sudden you're going to change. Like even that guy, Michael Saylor, I like the guy and he's an articulate guy, articulate spokesman. But what fucking pisses me off about this guy is he doesn't shave. He goes around like he's got a stubble, like a 4-day stubble. His hair is all white and shit, gray. He must have been blonde, but he was blonde when he was younger. So he's like, he won't shave. Like he's a rich guy who's, God forbid, that anything sharp ever goes near your face. Oh no, I'm too rich to shave. Like, okay, whatever, you know. Like, you know, you become so rich that you're such a genius that you can't remember to run a razor across your face when you get out of the fucking shower. Really, dude? Like, really? You know, like, could you just fucking shave? But when you have as much money as he has, and even before Bitcoin, like I said, he had a couple of 100 million. You don't have to fucking follow you're the boss. You're the boss of 10,000 people. You know what I mean? You impose your will on others. Nobody imposes their will on you. So if you don't want to shave, you don't shave. You know what I mean? And women look at you and go, "Oh my God, he's so hot." If I don't shave for 2 days, people think I'm like a homeless beggar. Yeah, of course not shaving. Yeah, you know, you should walk around looking like a complete hairball. Or whatever. They all do something like this. You could say it's kind of a symbolic act, but they all do something like this. You know what I mean? Elon Musk won't wear a button-down shirt. Mark Zuckerberg always has a hoodie. Like it's all that they all have to do this. Like, here's my open act of defiance against the social order because I exist above it. Right? That's essentially what they're doing. You know, that's essentially what they're doing. I exist above the set of rules you have to live by. And this is how I display it to everyone. This is a dominance display, whether you understand it or not. You know what I mean? I will pitch it to you as lifestyle choice, or, you know, the eccentricity of a misunderstood genius, or whatever fucking nonsense. But basically means I don't have to play by your rules. And right now, most of the world is playing by a set of rules set up by the Rothschilds, and that's going to change. You know what I mean? It's not going to change tomorrow. People on the poll show, oh, there's going to be an economic collapse tomorrow. It's not going to happen tomorrow. I don't know when the fuck it's going to happen, but it's most definitely going to happen. You know, the fact that the Biden administration was worried today that the S&P was a little bit shaky after a $1.9 trillion stimulus, and they should be worried because it's Wall Street is as fake and gay gets. You know what I mean? Pumped up by stimulus, companies borrowing money at 0%, buying back their own stock, driving up the stock price, and then taking a performance bonus from that and doing it over and over and over and over and over again. driving the stock market higher, making it appear like everything's great. Meanwhile, literally, the country's been on lockdown. The White Death has not gone anywhere. Everybody's still on opioids. Everyone's destroyed. No one's gotten a raise since 1986, right? The more and more low-wage workers are brought in all the time. How could it possibly be? Sooner or later, the music's going to end, and you're going to find out almost nobody has a chair, So, HIV positive. Oh, look at it. We're starting to have an influence on him. Well, if you're going to do research, HIV positive, good. Do some research. But I would remember this. Bitcoin is the king, and everything else is not. And you don't have to buy a full Bitcoin. You could buy $10 worth, $100 worth, $1,400 worth, whatever. You know what I mean? If the government gave you free money, and it's not free, by the way. You're going to be taxed into oblivion for that. And it would be wise to have an asset that outstrips inflation. Because inflation is going to be 20% a year or 40% a year or however much they decide to print. 25% of all the dollars in existence on the planet Earth were printed last year. So from 1776 to 2019 was X amount of money, and then it just increased by 25% in 1 year. If you think there won't be a reckoning for that type of behavior, you are wrong. And so all these people saying we should be monarchists, we should be authoritarians, we should be this or we should be that. You're rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. This ship is going down, and all your ideological bullshit's going down with it. There are life rafts potentially, but you have to stop being ideological, and you have to see what needs to be done and then do it. And then and if you're above all that, if no matter what happens, you can't be hurt, then I don't want to hear from you. You should need to shut up. You know what I mean? And if I ever meet you in real life, I'm going to play basketball with your head against the fucking sidewalk, because if there is no consequence for, to the wider culture, to you, from the wider culture to you, you should have literally no voice. You know what I mean? People go, blah, 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 you're fucking whatever. They don't like my sensibility because they misinterpret their happy accident of birth, right? That they were born to an upper middle class family and they're reasonably healthy and reasonably bright, to some sort of accomplishment. That's not a fucking accomplishment. That's not an accomplishment. Okay? And understanding that life is good is not profoundly insightful when all of your life is just a series of different pleasures. There's no struggle. There's no pain. There's no nothing. You know what I mean? You perceive a reduction in pleasure as pain. No one should listen to you ever about anything. And if you come on any platform where I happen to be, I'm going to make sure to shut you down as fast as I can and as brutally as I can, because you deserve that at a minimum. So HIV positive. I like the idea of monarchy, but I'm not dumb enough to think it's going to happen. It all sounds very romantic until you understand monarchy means prima nocta. You remember William Wallace? Well, I need to paint my face blue. Oh, freedom! William Wallace! Oh, Scotland! Right? Do you remember that scene where it wasn't William Wallace? It was another guy. He's gonna marry the red-haired girl, and then the local lord comes plopping in on his horse, and he says, "Oh, I claim the right of prima nocta. Prima nocta. Get on my horse, honey." And he takes the new bride into up to the castle for the night before she goes to marry her husband. That's monarchy. You looking forward to that? Want that for your wife? Want to look at your kid and always wonder, is that my kid? Is that not my kid? Is it his kid? That's monarchy, bro. That's monarchy. You want that, right? That's what you want. That's you begging to be a cuck. Like, oh, please make me a cuck. Please officially make it legal and lawful for me to be a cuck. That's monarchy, right? The story of Robin Hood, right? The Errol Flynn version or any other, the Errol Flynn version was a good version. But what's the story of Robin Hood? What was Robin Hood? He's just some dude out in the fucking woods with a bow and arrow, and he shoots a fucking deer, and he decides to eat the deer, right? Have some venison, have a little cookout, him and Friar Tuck, Little John, the boys, you know what I mean? Having some adult beverages, having a barbecue. Well, the sheriff of Nottingham finds out and reports it to the king, and you're not allowed to poach anything in that forest because the king owns the forest and everything in the forest. So you are now an outlaw for feeding yourself, right? And that's the story of Robin Hood. You know what I mean? And that's why everyone sympathizes with Robin Hood and against the sheriff of Nottingham and everyone else. Well, that's monarchy as well. The king owns everything and everything in the land and has absolute 100% control over everything. You don't want to live that way. You're saying, let me be a slave and then let some other dude bang my wife before our wedding night. Okay, that's what you want? Good for you, bro. I don't want to be anywhere near that. It's not like the storybooks. It's a fairy tale. Now, if you want to believe in fairy tales, you want to run around and pretend you're fucking Errol Flynn having a sword fight with the sheriff of Nottingham, that's great, man. I don't care, Wear a Viking helmet. I don't give a fuck what you do, But don't pretend. If you expect fucking other people to take your fantasy world seriously, then you're a fucking retard. You're a fucking retard. And I'm going to treat you like a retard. People cry fucking all over the internet, oh, James is such a mean guy. Why? Because I don't treat your fantasy world as real. No one does. Once you leave your room, someone's going to punch you in the nose and take your lunch money. You know what I mean? They think they go, oh, I'm a political dissident. I have extreme right-wing political views. I'm a dissident. They think they're going to be thrown in in a gulag. I'll be in a gulag. You think you're going to be sitting in a chilly room like this with Alexander Solzhenitsyn and Václav Havel talking about esoteric, whatever. Nah, man, you're going to be in a real prison, with the MS-13 and the 5%ers and all the rest. And most of you guys, if you ever go to prison, you're going to be wearing lipstick on the second day in. The second day, you're going to be wearing lipstick and begging everyone outside your family to pump up the commissary accounts of all these guys. That way they don't cut you after they rape you. So that's the reality. Now, none of these chuckleheads has ever gotten near prison. But again, even their conceptualization of my wrong think, I'm authoritarian, I'm a monarchist, I'm a trad Catholic, whatever the fuck you think you are. You're not going to be sitting in a chilly room with a scarf, talking to Solzhenitsyn about 200 years together. Mm-mm. Your bunkmate's going to be named Pooh Shiesty. You know what I mean? And his list of felonies is going to be longer than the list of useless books you read. So and I know that. So these people, I don't have no time or tolerance for them anymore. I have nothing but contempt for them. I spent way too much time pretending these people had something to say, or that they were anything other than fucking mouth breathing oxygen thieves. So no use for them, no tolerance for them. They show up in this channel, boom, boom, insta ban. Gone. Like I said, children should be seen and not heard. So anyway, what else? I don't have any more notes. I literally have actually no more notes. Yo, Manrick, hey, oh yeah. Oh, now you show up. You know what I mean? I don't have to. What I'm going to do is I have to put some more fuel on the fire here and see if I can think of lesser topics to stay. But when your incentive structure is inverted, you're going to get an enormous number of really aberrant behaviors, right? And this culture, when you have an entire culture like that, and you're either going to go along with it wholeheartedly and just shut your brain off entirely, just go along with it, or you're going to find yourself the odd man out. Most people don't want to be the odd man out. I mean, it sounds romantic and stuff, but really hard to do. Really, really hard to do. And what everyone does this, you're going to have to create in your heads some sort of inner life that allows you to survive outside the pop culture, right? And again, most people just can't do this. You know what I mean? They end up with a rich. Their fantasy life is as delusional as the ones that they have, that the pop culture that they have contempt for. You know what I mean? There was a kid. What was this kid's name? The Mephistopheles Ghost. He used to clip me when I was on this streaming, and he's the world's biggest simp for Richard Spencer. You know what I mean? Like, and people try to talk to him for years, and I used to like shit all over Richard Spencer, and he would defend him all the time. You know what I mean? And he would then clip me what a jerk I was for making fun of, his Lord and Savior Richard Spencer. I don't know I haven't seen Mephistopheles Ghost in a long time. Whatever happened to him, who knows? Probably mommy took away the computer. But he just refused to see reality. And he would even say, tons of people are telling me this, but I don't want to believe it. So I can understand looking at the world, looking at modernity and saying, I reject this. This is superficial. This is degenerate. This is wrong. This is everything I don't want. I understand rejecting it. That's a good starting point for it's a starting point for being clear about who you are and what you think. But and the pressure to conform is enormous in life. The pressure to conform is enormous. And so if you're going to resist that, you have to create your own little safe space. And the one this kid Mephistopheles Ghost picked was the Richard Spencer cult. And man, did it drag him down and down and down and down until Spencer was endorsing Biden, So but me as a public figure, whatever the fuck that means. But me as a guy who went on streams, I would rant and rave against Spencer, and Maffey would support. It only made him love him more. And I'm like, listen, kid, you're not getting it. This guy's not worth your devotion. And maybe the language I chose was certainly there's a gap. There's an age gap and it's a discomfort with certain types of language, but there was no shaking it. Like this was his core identity, and that's that. And now where is he? I don't know. You know what I mean? I guess he's on the Kamala Harris, volunteer transgender fucking squad, or who the fuck knows? Because that's where Richard Spencer was leading him. So, well, Spencer's not a loser. He's just a rich kid who had contacts at the CIA, who moved him around the world, gave him some international credibility by having him get arrested in Hungary. And that gave him street cred amongst extreme right. And even though he was a grossly overweight homosexual who apparently used to beat his wife, and drink heavily. I fucking drink heavily. I manage not to punch holes in the wall or do anything stupid. I don't go and fucking punch my neighbors or act like a retard. You know what I mean? There's people who can drink and there's people who can't drink. But if you're a rich queer, living off a trust fund, and you're trying to pretend to be something else, sooner or later the stress of that's going to pop out. His assignment was locked as a race baiter, and to take the alt-right and turn it into, white nationalism 2.0, or skinhead nationalism 2.0. But it worked, whether that was the ultimate purpose or not. Part of what's that saying? Nothing attracts a crowd like a crowd, right? That's from it was in a song. But if you're like, when the inflation numbers spiked up earlier and they started talking about UFOs, you know what I mean? The UFOs pop up in the news. Remember, like right before the election, there was all these monoliths, the steel monoliths things that were appearing everywhere, and it was like really cheap, really shitty and poorly done. It's like, oh my god, space aliens, they're coming or whatever. It's like such shit tier fucking things. But here's the point: you have a crowd of people that focused on this one thing, and now someone wants to disrupt that because a large crowd moving in one direction can have a lot of cultural power, and you need to split that crowd off. And not everyone's really 100% ideological. In fact, most aren't. They're just there because that guy seems popular and this seems like a good thing. You know, okay, I'll go along with it. And then they put the space alien, thing in front of people, and they're like, "Look, space aliens." It peels off a little bit of the crowd, and then some other part of the crowd goes, "Look at those retards talking about space aliens," and this big mass of people who are a potential force to be reckoned with culturally or politically gets split and split and split and split. Okay, until their attention is no longer focused on what their original goal was. Their attention is, look at the UFO people, and they're not like us, and who should be in the movement, and the whole thing dissolves. So in that sense, Richard Spencer was extremely successful, right? The nascent alt-right, this generalized sort of broad spectrum of people who were more or less right-wing, a lot of different groups that were not normie Republicans, were getting a sense of, hey, maybe there's an opportunity for us to do something and to generate real change. And that, of course, Trump appeared to be a genuine change agent. It all turned out, of course, to be for nothing, but you can't blame people for giving it a shot. You know what I mean? I don't blame people for giving it a shot, but after the first year or two, even like after 2 years of Trump, if you didn't see what the fuck was going on, man, you're hopeless. You know what I mean? My cousin, I haven't spoken to my cousin in a couple of years, but he was the biggest Trump fucking guy ever. You know what I mean? And I would say but he didn't build a wall. He didn't do this. He didn't do that. And he was into that, what they called it. They went from MAGA, I swear to God, this is true, to CAGA, Keep America Great Again. And they thought for sure he was going to win. And I don't know, as far as I know, I don't know what happened to my cousin, but he's got to be as depressed and miserable as he could possibly be. Because he would not listen to reason and would not hear one valid criticism of Trump or his failure to enact an agenda. Now, why that was it Kushner's fault? Was it because the Jews sued? I don't care why it was. Like, do you understand? I don't care why it was. And I still meet people, Trump people today, and I say, but he didn't build the wall. He didn't deport anyone. He didn't bring back any jobs from China. He didn't do any of that. And they go, oh, but he exposed the media. He showed the media. Like, I don't care what the fuck. Who cares? Like, you can't tell you're an adult, a voting age adult, and you can't tell the shit that you see on TV is fake. You know, that light beer is great tasting and less filling. You know what I mean? That at Ford, quality is job one. You know, like can you not tell that those nasty stains on your shirt will come out if you just use Tide with color enhancing bleach or whatever? Like you can't tell that that's all fake. You know, like, can you not? And the answer is no, they can't. They really can't. So they've sold themselves not on Tide with color safe bleach or light beer or, you know, buying a Ford F-150. They sold themselves on Donald Trump. And since you never actually have to take possession, you know what I mean? It stays in that perfect romantic part of your brain where tomorrow's always a new possibility. They can never see that you paid for something that you didn't get. And they can't, you know, they can't go through the sense of buyer's remorse. They just can't, you know. By the way, I didn't vote for Trump. I haven't voted since, the fuck was the last time I voted? Before McCain. I think I voted Bush the second term. That was I think I voted for him, 2004. And I was done with that. still with my national security. We got to get them evil muzzies because they hate us because our freedoms, whatever. That was the last time I actually voted, so it was '04. Don't get me wrong. I looked at Trump and I thought, hey, this guy's going to do some cool shit. This will be great. But my attitude was, I'm going to sit back and wait. And if he does what he said he was going to do in the first 4 years, not only will I vote for him, I'll send money to his campaign. But obviously that didn't work out, right? Anderson, you voted twice for them. God bless you. I don't think there's any way to vote a way out of this. All the criticism of democracy, and there's been multiple criticisms of democracy in these circles. Some are valid, some are, some are not so valid. But what democracy was, and ideally is a decentralized, a multi-pronged approach to problem solving, right? Whether you want to think of a monarch or a theocrat, a god, a priest or whomever's in charge, whether you want a single point of failure system like monarchy or a decentralized system like democracy, both of which can be subverted. Of course, they can both be subverted. However, if you look at the accomplishments from anything like engineering, math, whatever, anything, the accomplishments of democracies are far greater because you have more brains with more viewpoints that are able to solve more problems. If it's all, if heavy weighs the crown, right? So yes, heavy weighs the crown because you have one man who's extremely limited and he has to solve all sorts of problems he had no idea was even going to come up. You know what I mean? So that's the problem with monarchy, whereas democracy, spreading out power amongst a wider group of people, you're going to have better results. This is why Bitcoin's a better money. You know what I mean? You don't have the Federal Reserve Bank, controlling all the currency. You have a decentralized network of users, of miners, of the traders, of everything. It's a whole bunch of people who all have to agree that this thing has value. And changes are not so easy to make. You know what I mean? If anyone theoretically, because Bitcoin is open source software, could change Bitcoin, but everyone, the software developers, the miners, everyone's going to have input in this. And if your change does not benefit everyone sufficiently, then it's not going through. It's difficult or not, and as the network gets bigger and bigger and bigger, it becomes less and less possible to bamboozle people into doing whatever it is you think you want if it has no tangible benefit to the Bitcoin community as a whole. This is a decentralized approach to money, which is unique. It's 100% unique. Part of the reason I think why even monarchies and previous empires, the Romans, et cetera, were as stable as they were. One, they were kind of agrarian empires. It was the pre-industrial era. You had to live in a cyclic fashion. You had to live in a cyclic fashion. You had to wait to spring to plant, and then summer to harvest, or whatever, summer and fall to harvest, and then store up your food for winter, and blah, 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 blah. Well, we don't have to do that in America now, right? We're super industrialized. We can get fucking watermelons and tomatoes in February in New York City or fucking Vermont or whatever. I mean, you're going to pay a little more, but they come up from Guatemala, they come up from Mexico, whatever. There's different regions where all these food items come from that you can get all times of the year, which you never could before. And that's only possible because we have developed the technology to go beyond the seasons. You know what I mean? To move things across the globe fast enough so that it's not like the days of the sailing ships. With like Christopher Columbus or fucking Magellan or something like that, a wooden sailing ship. You think you're going to load it up with tomatoes and then sail from whatever Aztec land to Florida? It's going to take you it's going to take you 3.5 months. You're not going to have tomatoes. You're going to have a bunch of rotten fruit and some tomato seeds. But today you can put it in a container ship, not the evergreen whatever thing, not that one. But you could put a bunch of agricultural products on a container ship and have it go from whatever, from the Pacific to the East Coast of the United States or Europe within 4 weeks. You know what I mean? That's an incredible speed. So we can take advantage of conditions for growing things or whatever that we could never do before. So we live at an industrial pace, which is very different from the pace that humanity has lived for how many millennia, right? You know, store up food for the winter. Spring comes, yay! Springtime, we can go out, run around, do our stupid things, but you still have work to do, and you have, you know, your actions are controlled by the big cosmic forces, the sun, the earth, whatever, blah 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 blah. How well you understood that depended on what culture, depending whatever. But we don't do that anymore. Like we have so much control over our environment that we've completely lost ourselves. So, you know, here it is. What is it? It's midnight. I'm talking to people. God knows where the hell half of you are. You know, this was previously not possible before electricity and before a lot of other things, before computers. So, in some ways, it's enhanced our lives dramatically. In other ways, we've sacrificed a lot of things that were that gave you purpose and place and comfort. And that opens the door to a lot of degenerate behaviors and all sorts of manipulations. And most of this comes from whoever controls the industry, right? Who controls the industry is who controls the money. Now we're back to the Federal Reserve Corporation or the ECB or the Bank of Japan. Okay, when that control shifts, okay, and the articles I read to you from the Wall Street a year ago to Wall Street today are the beginning. It's one aspect you're seeing it shift. It hasn't shifted entirely yet. It's the first kind of slight bend of the knee of Wall Street. Okay, yeah, we have to do something for these rich people who want Bitcoin kind of returns. They really haven't started fighting yet. Okay, and when they start fighting, it's going to be too late. You're in Quantico. Hey, HIB, Quanta, FBI headquarters. Did you send me some fucking voicemails, you prick? Did you go outside? Did you go down to the FBI firing range and pop off a few rounds as a way to rattle my psychology? I don't know where FBI headquarters is. I drove past NSA headquarters once. It's on Highway 32 in Cumberland County in Maryland, something like that. Big gigantic sign. National Security Agency. I thought that was so crazy. And there's one guy with like a lone guy in a cop car, probably with like a Glock 19. And I'm thinking, if you're going to assault the NSA, do you think like one dude with a Glock 19 is going to stop you? That guy's he's a human bullet sponge. I don't know what they have around the corner from where I saw the police car, but I wouldn't want to be the guy in the police car. But there was also just everywhere. There's NSA, NASA, Food and Drug Administration, a bunch of other things. Big, gigantic signs and an arrow pointing down there. I did not drive down any of them because it wasn't my purpose to do that. But when I come back from Dulles, we see exit 44 on Highway 495 is Langley. There's Langley, then there's Langley Falls, then there's Silver Springs. There's different ones. I don't remember. At that point, I'm on my way home. I'm not paying a whole lot of attention. I'm just want to get the miles behind me. You know what I mean? I just want to eat up the road between where I am and where I want to be. But that's the way I am with anything. You know, what I mean? It's like the places I drive: Boston, Hartford, Dulles, Baltimore, Philly, etc. It's like I've done it, dude, so many fucking times. Like I'm so almost not paying attention. People when I used to stream with Paul, like all these people would say, like, does James even like steer the car? Does he even look at the road? You don't understand how many times I've done the same run. You know what I mean? It's not exciting and fun and different for me. It's you know, it's another trip down. You know, it's just another $350 or whatever I make. Silver Springs, you lived there briefly. Is that nice, Silver Spring? It sounds nice, and it's not far from Loudoun County. So I would think that Loudoun County is the place to be. outside of Washington, D.C., the 6 counties that surround Washington, D.C. are the 6 richest counties in the United States. Do you think that's a random occurrence? Do you think that that's purely by chance, or the fountain of federal money? You know what I mean? Right? The area right around the fountain is where the most water is, right? You know what I mean? When you got the dolphin spitting the water or whatever, or it's coming out of a cherub or whatever, Poseidon's trident or whatever the fuck. It's actually diversity. Yeah, there's a fair amount of diversity down there. There's a ton of non-whites down there. I find that not too surprising, but I like when I'm in Dulles Airport, there's a Sunoco station where I stop sometimes to get food and sometimes to get gas, depending on where my fuel level is when I get down there. But I look at the cops there at Dulles Airport, and a lot of these guys, I mean, they got all the latest equipment and they got a lot of cool shit, but they're old and fat, and they're federal employees there. Matter of fact, they got pulled over there by a black cop. Fuck, how long ago? Not that long ago. Here's the thing. This is me outsmarting myself. You come off of 495 onto, what was it, 66, I think it is. And then there's the Dulles Airport, whatever, access way. It's like a 17-mile road. That's not Route 66, but it runs along Route 66, whatever the fuck the road is. I think it's 60, 66, 67. I don't know what the fuck it is. Anyway, so there's a train in the middle, or a metro line, light rail, and you go along there, and then you go into the airport, and for where I have to go, you come off the main road onto an access ramp, and it splits. Now, if you stay on the left, there's a sign that says no left turn unless official airport business. And I never consider myself official airport business. If you go straight across, you go to the parking garages. If you go to the right, you can go down whatever the crossroad is, make a U-turn in the parking lot, and then go left to where I need to go. So that's what I used to do on occasion, because every now and then I'd see a cop there, and I'm like, you know what, let me go. I don't want to make a left turn. I'm not supposed to make a left turn and get a moving violation 3 states away from where I live. That's my only thought. Like, I came here to make money, not lose money. Did that one time, and the cop saw me, and he pulls me over. Big black cop. And I'm not giving up. I'm not like, depending on the circumstances, like how dark it is, how nervous I think the cop is. It's like, I'll just give up my docs right away, like turn on all the lights in the fucking car so he can see that there's nothing going on in the car, because I don't want to get shot by one of these fucking idiots. And he's like, here, just write me the fucking ticket, let me go. But I'm like, fuck this shit. I'm not doing this, right? So he comes up, and I don't take out my license or anything. I said, what's the problem, officer? He said, did you see the sign? You're not allowed to go right and then turn around. I said, no, I didn't see that. He said, well, what are you doing? I said, I got to deliver this box. And I showed him the box. And he takes his tactical combat flashlight and shines it inside my car to see the piece. It's a small box, 9 by 9 by 15. And he said, have you ever been here before? And I'm like, dude, that's the softball. I said, no, never been here before. He said, well, you're delivering that to where? And I told him, I said, Signature Flight Support over here. He said, well, that's official airport business. The sign says if you have official airport business, you can make the left turn. I said, oh, I didn't know that. And it's true, I didn't know that. I don't figure that I'm official airport business, but whatever. So this guy's like, he's saving face. And I'm sure he's brushes up against so many big shots that he's afraid, like as a cop, he's afraid to mess with people, because it's Dulles, it's DC, and he's just a local civil servant. And I didn't get out my license or nothing on any of my paperwork. I said, oh, I'll remember that next time. He said, yeah, says they might pull you over and ask you for your paperwork, but you won't get a ticket. I said, oh, thanks a lot, officer. And then, that was like, that's it. I just stopped talking. He was like, oh, okay, have a good night. You know what I mean? And he walked away. And so essentially I psychologically muscled a black cop down in Dulles Airport, not because I'm some Superman or whatever, but because I understand the dynamics of where I am and what this guy's real position is. Like, police outside of the Washington D.C. area, they're like gangsters. They can do whatever they want, and people bow to them and stuff. And you got to be conscious of that. But over there, you're the third cousin of Congressman so-and-so, you're the intern for whatever. Like, these guys got to tread very lightly. You know what I mean? So it's just a different thing. So, when I got pulled over for that, how many times had I been to Dulles Airport? I don't know, fucking 150. You know what I mean? But he gives me the out. He just hands it to me. Have you ever been here before? No, sir. No, I have not. So, so that was that, so now I know it's 100% legal. I just go to the stop sign and bang the left, and that's it. I don't even think about it, which I used to do most of the time. Like the more rushed I am, the more I'm thinking about the clock, and the more I'm thinking about, fuck, I'm not going to get home till 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. God damn, I'm not going to get home till dawn. And there's times I come in, like I'm walking up the stairs of my apartment, like trying to, and they're old, creaky wooden stairs from the 1940s. It's like, I'm like, I don't want to be a prick to my fucking neighbors. Not that I particularly like them, but I still don't want to be a prick. So, that raises or lowers my anxiety when I'm there. Zoo, all of a sudden coming to life. Video card hyperinflation happening. Yeah, because everybody's trying to mine Ethereum. By the way, listen, you better, once you pump your bags, you better get the F out of Ethereum and move all that money into Bitcoin, because a lot of people have lost money in altcoins. Keep that in mind, Zoo. You know what I mean? You're riding the dragon, but that ride is going to end, before Bitcoin's ride ends, and you need to make that shift. Yeah. So the thing with the places I go, like I don't even pay like it's just driving for me. People think, oh, you go here, you go there, and obviously in a year of lockdown, it might appear like I have enormous freedom, but I have deadlines and stuff, and I'm always going to the same stupid places, doing the same stupid shit, and then and coming back, it's nowhere near as dramatic and romantic as you think. It's me in a little metal box in the rain or the heat or the fucking cold or whatever, day or night, a lot of traffic or a little traffic, and, get there, deliver the box, make the phone call, and fucking go home, and then on my day off, which is today, I get to do and say anything I want to do and say. But a lot of people who go, I guess if you go to the same office, the same places, you see the same things over and over, the same people, it might look like I have more freedom than I do. And I certainly have some, but and I come in contact, I guess, maybe with more people and a wider variety of people. But yeah, so it's, well, like anything in life, it's got its pluses and minuses. Speaking of which, the other down here, where am I? Look this way. Since I don't have a motorcycle this year, and I probably won't be getting one. I don't think it's a waste of my money to buy a bike. I'm just exercising like a ton more. Like I'm doing all kinds of stuff. And I ran across this dude that you're gonna have to. It's a young guy. He's from Florida. He's quite the sensation on social media, called Knees Over Toes Guy. That's actually, if you can Google that, there's a hashtag with him. Then they now call him KOT. Anyways, a young guy who had a bunch of knee surgeries when he was younger, and he's developed a rehabilitation program for his legs and his hips and stuff. And the kid's super athletic now. He's about 30. He's married, has a little baby, cute wife, lovely, very wholesome kid. Basically, he's selling a coaching program, and I'm not suggesting that you do that, but this kid makes he produces a ton of content and puts it on YouTube. And part of what he did to take himself from like nearly a cripple to an extraordinarily athletic person is he studied the people who were athletic, who had great athletic longevity. and what they did, and then he developed a program around that. And he had, yeah, of course, he had a bunch of people that helped him out and stuff, and helped him along the way. And I'm not trying to push this guy's business, but a lot of what we do is we're far too sedentary, right? And there are the diseases of modernity, or the diseases of a sedentary lifestyle. And the human body, 70% of all the muscles on your body are in your back or in your legs. And if you're not exercising that, you're really not getting good exercise. So this guy's a bunch of stuff. He puts enough free stuff in his little videos. He has short videos, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, whatever, where he shows you how you can radically improve your athleticism, or maintain what you have, with things that cost of nothing or very little. You know what I mean? Small changes to your habits. So if we're looking forward to a future where the government is run by Kamala Harris, right, and you're a right-wing political dissident, and there are like open communists there, and you go, oh, you know, I kind of got knee pain. I need a knee replacement surgery, you know, and they look at your social media history. What do you think the chances you're going to get that are? Like 0 or -0? I don't know what's less than 0, right? So maybe you want to keep what you have, and you can maintain or increase your athletic ability. And I'm not saying you're going to go play hoops with Michael Jordan. I'm not talking about that, but the ability to live a pain-free life without being vulnerable and helpless, you know what I mean, is more important than you think. And small changes you can make that aren't going to cost you any money, not costing you any money. Small changes you can make to your habits, particularly with how you walk, what you do with your legs, knees, and ankles, can have real big benefits in the future, right? So I put a link down below in the show notes. The guy's called Knees Over Toes Guy. I like the kid. He's a very wholesome kid. And I've been doing playing around a bunch of different things that he's talked about. For me, luckily, like this apartment is on the second floor, so I get to walk backwards up and down stairs, and that's a great exercise for your knees. Now, I don't particularly have a problem with my knees, but I spend a lot of time in the car sitting around doing nothing. You know what I mean? That sedentary activity, which is what I need to do to earn money to buy Bitcoin, does have a consequence, right? Things that aren't used atrophy. So probably the last 5 or 6 weeks, I make it a point to walk backwards up my stairs. You know what I mean? And that exercises my knees and legs and my ankles in a different way. And I got to tell you, my knees feel better. And I noticed that when I move more quickly and more smoothly. You know, I don't have to push as hard to go as fast. So I can go as fast as I could go 10 or 15 years ago. And I'm like, holy shit, all of this from fucking walking up the stairs backwards, like that cost me $0. You know what I mean? That's something, because I live, like I said, on the second floor of this apartment building. You know, I never saw it as a plus. You know, like sometimes I come home late and I'm like, fuck, I got to trudge up them stairs. But now I look at those stairs, I literally turn backwards and think, you know what? I'm going to get a quick workout before I go to sleep. And I'm going to wake up feeling better. So kid's name is Ben Patrick. Go down there, subscribe to his YouTube channel. Like I said, it's relatively short videos, stuff that costs you very little money or no money, that will pay big dividends later on in life, because you don't want to depend on a government who hates you for your skin color and whose sole purpose is, whether you think it's genocide or whether you think it's a racial transfer of wealth or whatever. You don't want to depend on them for your medical care, right? The longer you can stay strong, deeper into life, the better off you're going to be in every way. You know what I mean? In every conceivable way. And I'm not talking about like being a crazy power lifter. I'm not talking about taking steroids or doing any weird shit like that. Again, look down below. Little things you can do to dramatically improve your life and to feel like you have more control over yourself and your body. Good thing. It is an unalloyed good What's going on in the chat? What's going on in the chat? All right, everybody talking about mining crypto. Mining Ethereum. There was a quote. Do I even have it on my phone? I think I do. Stand by. It's going to make Tom Anderson unhappy. And Lord knows I don't want to make Tom Anderson unhappy, right? Yeah, here it is. I'm going to have to do this. Tom Anderson, I'm about to ruin your day. Probably ruin Zoo's day as well. But I have to do it. This has to be done. Does it hurt you more than it's going to hurt me? But still. You're going to need to know. You need to have your eyes open. You're going to need to be red-pilled. You're going to need to be red-pilled no matter how painful it is. Let's see. Go back. Go back. Where are we at? Yeah, this is gonna hurt. This is from Twitter, and it's a legit tweet. It's just gonna take. I don't know how long. Why does your email take so long to go from my phone to my laptop? They're 4 feet away from each other. God damn it. Tom Anderson. I would be willing to spend that if I was going to make like 0.05 ETH every few days. ETH is the number 2 crypto and is not going to lose that spot. No, it's not going to lose that spot, but that doesn't mean all crypto dreams will come true, Tom Anderson. What it only means that it's number 2, and the difference between number 1 and number 2 is enormous, right? What is the market cap of Ethereum? I don't know what is the market capitalization? What is the value of all the money in Ethereum right now? Oh, this is so pissing me off. Now, wait a minute. No, it did come. Here it is. Where are we at? No. Go back. It's here. I swear it. Oh, this cash thing is just such an annoying. There we go. This is going to hurt you. This is going to hurt Tom Anderson. So I want you to brace yourself. I want you to brace yourselves because this is a real tweet, and you could, I guess, if you don't know how to search on Twitter, you'll be able to see it. You'll be able to find it. If it hasn't been deleted. But this is your hero. This is the guy who developed Ethereum. This is Vitaly Buterin from Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. If you cannot read that, I will read it for you. Vitalik Buterin. I can easily argue that doing heroin imposes risks on others, or while simple possession of child porn does not. There's a lot of rumors online that Buterin is a big fan of kiddie porn. And this, this tweet that's a legit tweet. It's not fake. So I don't know how much money. Their market cap is $207 billion. So, and Bitcoin is 5 times bigger than that. Vitalik Buterin, if this is his worldview, I would suggest that him and his project is not as trustworthy as you might think, and you should consider how long you stay involved with this. You know what I mean? I understand everybody's looking to make money, right? Everyone's looking to increase their material wealth, all right? But you are playing with fire, and you need to understand that. For other people, gains, you know what I mean? Gains in finance is like for weightlifters who just want gains using steroids. They don't care how it comes; they just want gains. So keep that in mind. You know what I mean? I'm not condemning you for that choice. but just hoping that you see clearly what it is the guy who started this whole thing, how he sees the world. And again, it's about incentives and whose incentives are aligned or misaligned. And do you want to align your incentives with someone whose worldview is, shall we say, non-traditional? Okay. It's very libertarian, but it is non-traditional. Okay, so I think everybody got the HIV positive transgender back in the chat. I rejected Ethereum in my research simply because the founder was Russian. Now I feel extra good about that move. Yeah, I mean, it's not that, I have nothing against the Russian people. I've met some very cool and nice Russian people in my life. But this guy, it's popular among right-wing circles to say physiognomy is a real thing, right? That the way someone appears, if they appear like a sick freak, if they appear like an unhealthy, unnatural person, they probably are, right? There's threads on like Mike Cernovich, like how he's like grifters in bad hair. There's a whole thing on grifters in bad hair. The different right-wing grifters, and like Milo's hair is, that the guy who's apparently now he's a Christian and he's not gay anymore. He's his burnt blonde hair, I don't know what color his hair was originally, but like the crazy sort of ways people kind of distract. It's probably way distracting from this, right? Like if this is dishonest, you have to put something to turn people's minds away, right? To make them focus on some different aspect. And Cernovich has bad hair and a bunch of other grifters. Apparently, there was a whole thread on Twitter with grifters and bad hair. I don't know that it's that much of a correlation, but the physiognomy is real meme is a very popular meme, particularly among meatheads, guys who like to lift, particularly weightlifter guys. But and that doesn't mean because you lift heavy objects you're a morally good human being. But there is kind of a hint that if you're not willing to do hard work, in order to receive some good, why should I listen to you? You know what I mean? If you are seeking unsavory gain, right, which always ends badly for one party or another. If you're seeking unsavory gain, why should I be paying attention to you, right? And again, everyone living their lives online in this surreal internet world, which is only going to get more surreal. You have to have someone to kind of guide yourself, right? Ugly people cannot be trusted. Just because someone's beautiful doesn't mean they're good. People conflate that all the time. That's actually I can't remember what Greek guy said that, but it's a Greek axiom that which is good must also be beautiful, but it's been flipped on its head. Who turns things around? That which is beautiful must also be good. That's not true. The Greeks said that which is good must also be beautiful. So medicine, right? Taking a sick body, healing it, making it strong and healthy again. That is good. That is an unalloyed good. So it must be a beautiful thing. But Hollywood and others have, flipped that around. So how many beautiful women are terrible human beings, right? What's that song from the 80s? A pretty face don't make a pretty heart. What was that? One of those, what is it? But you know what I'm talking about, right? But the saying, a pretty face, it does, a pretty face don't make a pretty heart. I can't remember. I can hear that song in my head, the chorus of that song in my head. And I can't remember the band. I probably heard it on Boomer Rock, on the Paxson radio, probably like 2 or 3 days ago, so it's stuck in my head. the thing is, trust has to be earned. You know what I mean? You have to watch someone's behavior over time, and someone's behavior under stress is what's telling. You know what I mean? That's when you're under stress, that's when you find out when everything's easy and relaxed and there's no consequence to your action. Right? Uh, it's very easy to appear one way or another, but it's crunch time when you find out who your friends are, right? When you lose your job, when something goes bad or something goes wrong. Hey, listen, can you help me? But listen, bro, I know you since high school. Can you help me? And then boom, the phone hangs up, or the doors close, and like, whoa, It's like, now if you're always asking other people for help, you can expect to be rejected because you're parasitical. You're a leech. But if you've never asked anyone for help and you've always been a decent guy and straightforward with other people, and you fall on hard times or something difficult happens, and you reach out to your supposed friends and they turn you down, that tells you a lot. You know what I mean? When times of stress, that's when real character is revealed, right? Now, most of life is not that stressful, right? That's why the grifters, that's why the people who are excellent at deception can rise to the top, because things are soft enough and easy enough. You can hide that. They can hide their real character. They can bamboozle people, gain power over them. If it was always life or death, if the pressure was really on, you'd be able to sort the good from the bad, easy peasy. But those parts of life are very small parts of life. You know what I mean? Small parts of most people's lives. So using deception as a method to gain what you want is a good strategy for a lot of people, because most of the time life is easy enough that people don't need to make such sharp distinctions. There isn't so much riding on those on those decisions. So it's easy to get conned, and then the best liars get to the top. HIV positive transgender farmer from Nebraska, trustworthy generally. Yeah, but what do you got in Nebraska? You got fucking literally nothing. You got like wheat fields or something. Wheat fields and sandwiches made out of pig's brain. I think they that's crazy. Well, it used to be cow's brain, but then now they make them out of pig's brain. HIV positive transgender sitting Iowa resident. So what do we like sitting? HIV transgender is like sitting in a missile silo. There's like there's one of those Reagan Minuteman III missiles that were getting ready to go. We're going to go get the bad comments, and he's there with the key. He's just waiting for the fucking computer to give him the thing. He pulls out the card. He looks at his buddy, and they both put the key in the computer and they turn it at the same time. Boom, and they hit the button, and they win the Cold War. That was HIV's transgender formative years in the Air Force, underground in a missile silo beneath a cornfield in Iowa, right? Now, Nebraska. It's funny. Lincoln, Nebraska is a city. I think it's the largest city it's LKE is the airport code. LKE. Largest city in Nebraska, about 1 million people, almost no murders. Like the murder rate is phenomenally low, but it's an incredibly white city, and it is probably like maybe the most American city ever. You have to understand that I grew up in New York City. Like I grew up, and which is like the least American city of all the cities in America. And I know that might seem strange to you, but it is really the least from the patriotic America, Constitution, Stars and Stripes, apple pie, state fair kind of, cotton candy and walking hand in hand with your best girl thing. New York is like the furthest thing from that. You know what I mean? So technically it's almost like a foreign country. It's like a little Singapore, crazy multicultural foreign country attached to normie America, And I remember even when I was a kid, man, I would like once you understood the city and how dangerous it was like so you so felt so bad for outsiders. I used to even Staten Island, which is technically like barely part of the city. It's part of the city, but whatever. So you take a ferry boat across to Manhattan, and I worked there as a teenager as a messenger and stuff in the '80s. And there's a subway train, the 1, 2, and 3 line, the red line that comes down the west side of Manhattan, turns around at the very bottom, at the very, very bottom of Manhattan, and at the Battery Park Station. And it's like such a tight turn, and the fucking train cars, the wheels scrape against the fucking rails, and it screeches so fucking loud. It's crazy. And the way it's shaped, like you can't just step onto the train. There was a gap, so there's a little I don't know, it's electronic or hydraulic or whatever ramp that comes out to the train, so you don't fall in between the platform and the train. And I remember being there like so many times when I was a kid, and it would be like some I swear to God, it'd be like some tourist from Germany or the fucking Netherlands, and they would have their New York City guidebook, and it would say like New York City guidebook, and I'd be like, oh fucking God! And this was like in the '80s when everyone had these Canon cameras, but they have these super telephoto lenses, like a fucking $1,500 camera back in the day. And it'd be like, some like fat German tourist with a $1,500 camera and his fucking New York City guidebook. And they would come up to me and they would say, excuse me, and where can I find the painting und the training? You know what I mean? And I'm like, what? And then what they always wanted to go see the graffiti trains of New York. Like, you know what I mean? They're like, they would take out their fucking guidebook, which on page whatever 73 had a minute, like the entire map of the subway, like this big. I'm like, dude, nobody could fucking read that. Fucking subway map is like 4 by 4 by 4. You know what I mean? It's a giant fucking map. It shows the entire city, and I'm like, oh fuck. I'm like, oh God. I was like, they were like, how do we get to Harlem? I want to go to Harlem and see the painting training. And I'd be like, no. You don't want to go to Harlem. You don't want to see but the fucking, like they were like, no. What train do I take to go to Harlem? And I'm like, you'll get fucking killed. They'll fucking kill you for that camera around your neck. You know what I mean? Like you don't understand. But to Europeans who had no sense of physical danger, because they live in that, especially back in the '80s, they live in fucking all white fucking country. They didn't have a conception of physical danger from other people who look different from them. They just thought it's like a human zoo or something. I don't know what they thought about New York. I know the Europeans used to think we were all racist and look down their nose at us morally. I don't think they do that so much anymore. I'm betting their attitudes have fucking changed since 1985. But I would always feel like protective of these people. I'm like, you don't understand what you want. Like you're asking to fucking put your head in a fucking lion's mouth. You don't want to do that. But it's, you felt, I guess I always felt like, okay, there was always some relationship I had with normies that, where I understood a little bit more than they did. I had a little more experience than they did. And not that I disagree with their worldview, but like you don't understand how bad it is, and I don't have time to explain it to you. Don't go to Harlem. You don't want to go there. I don't care what Hollywood movies have shown you or what they tell you in fucking Europe. You don't want to go there because you're not ready for this. You know what I mean? You're a fat German tourist who works in a fucking ball bearing factory in Stuttgart and has a fucking $2,000 camera, who's going to get fucking knifed to death and literally not understand why. You know what I mean? And your wife's going to go home with a fucking coffin. Don't do that. So, but you'd also get. I remember one time I was on the Staten Island Ferry, and people love to ride the Staten Island Ferry because it goes past the Empire State Building. Not the Empire State Building. Statue of Liberty, fucking Empire State Building. With Statue of Liberty is like in the middle of the harbor, and the ferry goes past it, right? And everyone goes and takes pictures. They all get on the ferry. So many people get on the ferry to go when it goes past the Statue of Liberty, which is here, the fucking boat like tilts like this. You know what I mean? And all the tourists are there, and everyone sits with their back like this, and take a picture of me with the Statue of Liberty in the background. And the ferry doesn't cost anything. It's a half-hour ride across, half-hour ride back. And I remember like a million years ago, I was like fucking drunk. Imagine me being drunk. I know it's tough to imagine, but still, it happened. It used to happen back in the day. I'd be like drunk, riding the Staten Island ferry, going home, like summer night. You want to be outside. They were today they're air conditioned, but they weren't always air conditioned back then. Sometimes you got an air conditioned boat, sometimes you didn't. And you'd go outside and you sit in the outside benches and just let the breeze go past you. And one night, some fucking girl just starts like, yeah, she's screaming. I'm like, holy shit, somebody jumped on the fucking boat. What happened? Because I was half asleep. I look, and this girl's like, she was from Pennsylvania. I'm from Pennsylvania. And the stone base of the Statue of Liberty was quarried from wherever the fuck she lives. And she was like so fucking excited to see that. She was like, she could spit, and it wouldn't spit, but you could spit and it would land on Liberty Island. You know what I mean? Like she was so fucking crazy. Like, honey, shut the fuck up. Who gives a fucking shit about it's a statue in the middle of the water. Now that's a New Yorker's point of view. Like, why? Because I saw it 37,000 times. It's not an iconic, magical image that I've seen in history books or in movies or whatever. It's something I passed every day on my way to work in Manhattan when I was riding the Staten Island ferry. And so, like, I understand the difference. There was always a gap between us and normies, New Yorkers and normies. We're not the same. We really are from a different world, and not really an American world. And that the powers that be hold up New York City as like America's values. We are the fucking furthest thing from it, bro. Always the furthest thing from it, since forever. Lieutenant Colonel Kilgore. Hey, how's it going, Lieutenant? Welcome to the show. Thank you for your service. I'm not sure who. Yes, it was the most. Most Italian in the borough, and also the most police and firefighters per capita in all the boroughs. But yeah, all the outer borough people, all the cool people, no matter who they're. Like it's all Manhattan is the small hats. And those who suck up to the small hats, you know what I mean? The small hats and the useful idiots of the small hats largely or trust fund kids. So the people that make the city run, that solve all the problems, that do everything, are all out of borough people, and it's probably been that way since forever. But dropped by Bill Clinton's spot in Harlem for sanctuary. I don't know whether it's been a long time since I drove through Harlem. It's been like 2 or 3 years. But whatever, there was my company had an account where we had to deliver. I don't know if this happened on a couple of occasions. We would deliver medications directly from CVS pharmacies. They would come off planes from Pittsburgh, and they'd be going to Harlem, and they were like, "Oh, listen, you got to pick up in LaGuardia and deliver in Manhattan." I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." I'm like 145th Street and 7th Avenue in Manhattan. Like, are you fucking crazy? You know what I mean? I get out of my car. I'm like looking both ways. I always carry at least one knife. You know what I mean? So like, I got the fucking pieces, the small pieces, medicine in the box, probably diabetes medicine. I'm like, so I'm holding the box in my left hand, but I got my knife open in my right hand, and I'm holding it under the box like this. You know what I mean? So it looks, this is not the knife. This is, but so I'm walking towards, and I'm like hitting everything with my elbow, hitting the buzzer, and the door's open or whatever, hitting the fucking elbow and the fucking button for the elevator. So I'm walking like this. If anybody fucks with me, if something like I come up against something, unexpected, I'm going to drop this at their feet. And then I already got this. I already have this in my fucking hand. And you think, how the fuck could you live that way? Like, how could you? Well, that's the way you have to think, and that's the way you have to live. Like, I don't know who's in this building. And when I went in the building, the door frames. This was the thing that really spooked the fuck out of me. The door frames were diamond plate steel. They had put diamond plate around the door frames, and I'm like, that's not fucking good. I was like, that is not. That means people used to come in with crowbars and like attack the door frames or something on the first floor. I'm like, that's not good. That is not fucking good. You know what I mean? And I'm like, why the fuck am I doing this? But bizarrely, you can walk in and out of these things if you just do it. You just go and do it. You just go in and then you leave. Like, and I got to the guy's door and I ring the fucking bell. Nobody answers. I'm fucking ringing the bell, and I look at my phone. There's a contact phone number in my email, and I call up and it's like, and I said, I was like, yeah, Mr. Rosario, this is so and so. Courier service. I said, we have a medication. And I said, I'm at your front door. Could you please call me back at whatever? And, by the time I hung up the phone, the guy must have actually looked through the peephole and seen there was a white guy in the hallway. So boom, he opens the fucking door right away. So he opens the door and there's the fucking wave of fucking sofrito and all the fucking roasted pork and whatever the fuck they're having, and there's a 300-pound Guatemalan woman standing over a giant pot of rice and she's fucking stirring. And I'm like, are you Guillermo Morales Torres Perez III? And he's like, see, I'm like, yeah, sign here. You know what I mean? And he fucking signs for the fucking piece, and that's that, and I down the fucking elevator I go, and I into my fucking car, and I'm gone. I only did that like once or twice, but I'm like, man, I really did not look forward to those CVS jobs. The Marcy projects. I think the Marcy projects are in Brooklyn. No, I've never been in or around those, but they had a particularly tough reputation, as I remember. I think they were in Brooklyn near Coney Island, or not far from Coney Island, if I'm not wrong. But Coney Island was a horror show. It was for a long time, and still is. I did a stream once on Pole's show. I was it was winter time. I was I'm trying to think what time of year it was. Post Christmas, maybe January. It was cold, but not super cold, but too cold for Dindo's, which lived like right down the road. And I went to Nathan's hot dogs place, which it was like everything was dark, and I'm holding the phone like this, right? And I'm streaming and whatever, and I flipped the camera so you could see like all the neon lights and stuff. And I'm walking around. I went down there and I had a couple of hot dogs or whatever, and then all around they in an attempt to revitalize the Coney Island amusement rides, they had all kind of weird artwork and stuff. And I'm walking around and I'm filming this stuff as I'm talking to Pole, and everybody's watching. I'm giving them like a virtual tour of Coney Island. It was like at midnight or something, on a Tuesday or something, a couple of years ago. It's somewhere on Pole, on whatever the fucking 8,000 Falcon, 8,000 fucking pole position shows that they used to do. So, but I would kind of stop. And there was all this weirdo artwork, and I would try and hold the camera steady and let people see what was going on and give people a little view of what was happening. And I was just walking around. There was nobody there because it was too cold. It's too cold for the Dindo's to be out. Far Rockaway's bad. There's a lot of Jews there too. It's that weirdo Jews living right next to Dindo's thing. But there's this. Listen, every place is bad when you're alone and outnumbered, and you're a likely victim. This sort of thing, I've said multiple times in the past that the world really works in a predator-prey dynamic. If you really break all the shit down, police officers, armed police officers, no matter how fat they are, no matter how fucking out of shape they are almost never attacked because they always have access to weapons and friends, right? They have a pistol on them, they have pepper spray, they have a nightstick, they have a taser, and they have a radio where they can call 20 of their friends. We're going to be here in 5 minutes. It's not like they are never attacked. They occasionally, BLM, various different lunatics attack them, but almost never. And the reason why is because they're hard targets. They're likely to fight back. and they have the tools to do that. Civilians, no matter where you live, and this drives me crazy about right to carry states, there are people in right to carry states that get attacked and robbed and raped all the fucking time. And they have the right to fucking carry any fucking thing. And they just choose not to do it. They don't have a mindset to do it. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm not that kind of person, or nothing bad will happen to me because I just want good things for everyone. My heart is so pure and I want good things for everyone. So I'm putting out good vibrations. So only good vibrations will come back, or whatever fucking dumb shit you fucking think. And the world really works on a predator-prey dynamic. If you look like tasty prey and there's predators in your fucking area, you're in trouble. You need to see them before they see you and get the fuck out of there, or you got a lot of work to do. And you're probably not up to that. So if you're a hard fucking target, if you lift, if you're in shape, if you're fucking aware of your environment, if you're carrying fucking tools that are going to work, should shit go sideways, that drops you down the fucking list of likely fucking victims real far, real fast, because they take a look at you and go, you know what? Let that one go. Let that one go. We'll wait for a soft one to come. And people think, well, I don't want to live that way, and it's not American. It's not me. My IQ. Look, can't you see how many IQ points I have? No, I don't live that way. That's the way animals live. I have this many IQ points. Don't you understand? No one gives a shit. You know what I mean? You're not living in a world that's ruled by IQ points. So, but it's tough to get that idea across to people. No, but we're civilized. But it's America. But it's the 21st century. Yes, all true. However, there are forces at work who are working very hard and have been for decades to destroy civilization. And no shiny gadget and no technology has managed to overcome human nature yet. So you have to keep that in mind. Anyway, dudes, what is it? 2 hours and 18 minutes I'm already going. And it's coming up on 1 o'clock in the morning. So I'm going to bail on you guys. We have, look at the 7 whole viewers. So obviously Tom Anderson, who was very, very lonely an hour and a half ago, is now filled with a sense of fellowship and camaraderie, because it's no longer 2 people in the chat. Anyway, what I'm going to do is going to bail out on you guys. I'm going to play the outro music, which shockingly is the same as the intro music. And hopefully we'll see next week, depending on my work schedule, whether I stream on Sunday or Monday. It's going to depend on work. But thank you all for showing up. And I will see you guys next week.